Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of Pinstriping Basics. Last week we covered a lot of ground, a lot of basics for pinstriping. By now you should know what brush to get, what paint to go for. You know how to care for your brush, you know how to palette that brush, and most importantly you know how to pull a straight lines. Now in this episode we're gonna curve that line slightly one way or the other, which isn't that difficult, but it can be quite tricky when you're first starting. So we're gonna cover all these basics today. Hope you enjoy it. And enough talk, really. Let's get to paint, because Giraffe is still here, right? He wants to learn something as well, so let's do this. All right.
Right, so before we start today, if you remember last week we left our pinstriping brush covered in motorcycle engine oil, so it's got nice protective residue on it, and to get rid of it basically, just need to some tissue, wipe it in, the excess off, and your white spirit container. Just give it a quick bath, and believe it or not, all the oil residue, all the grease, it will disappear in seconds. Again, don't pull it too hard. Give another bath, and I reckon that'll do. Yep, nice and clean, and ready to be used again. Well, that was easy. Just want to mention here, guys, the things I do over here, it's not how it should be done, it's how I do it. You watch some other guys, you're gonna find different techniques, you're gonna find different ways of doing things, and that's all fine. It's whatever works for you. This process, the techniques, works for me. It may not be alright for you or for anybody else, but it's what I find for me. It's the easiest way of doing it. Same with paletting the brush. I can see some guys using little plastic caps to palette them inside there, and that's fine. That works. Some people don't keep the paint in these tins because they get skim over. They put them in plastic bottles, and that's absolutely fine. It doesn't work for me. So you find your own way. If it works for you, you just go ahead with it. There's no rules over here. There's no way of doing it right or wrong. There's just different ways of doing it when it comes to pinstriping and brush care and all the techniques around it. Another thing I wanted to mention, that some guys mentioned they have no talent, they can't pinstripe, they can't do any art, they can't draw. Pinstriping, it's not drawing. It's not drawing live portraits. It's not drawing nature. Pinstriping is an art of pulling lines, and if you can master this, you can pull any design you want. Obviously, if you want to paint some fancy picture of flowers and people's faces, that is a completely different story. But pinstriping as such, you don't need to draw. You don't need to be good at drawing. You don't need to go to art school to enjoy this. It comes with practice, like everything else. It's pulling lines and making symmetry happen. Symmetry in the old school design. With scrolling design, you can get away without symmetry. You can pull different designs. We're going to cover that later on as well. But don't let it put you off. It's an art of pulling lines, and basically what I want to develop here is you want you to have fun with it. You want you to try it. Don't worry about things that you say you got no talent. That's not true. Talent is it can be learned. It's something to do. It's something that comes with practice. So we're gonna cover that later on today as well. Okie dokie. Let's start. Let's do this. Okay. So at this point, you know how to pull a straight line. Yeah, that's quite simple. If you've been practicing, you can do straight lines all day long. That's fine. But probably if you try to curve it slightly, you see some flare-outs, and that's because the brush is not turning when you pulling your curve, your bent line. And there's a trick for it. Every time you do a C curve, you need to twist the brush in your hand slightly. Yeah, you need to turn it just a bit. If you go in to the right, you need to turn the brush to the right. If you go to the left, the brush needs to twist the other way. It requires a little bit more practice than a straight line, but once you get a hold of it, it's actually quite easy. Let me quickly demonstrate what I'm talking about. If you watch my brush, how it's curving in my turning in my hand when you put that C curve. Right now I'm twisting the brush. Can you see that? Just to have that consistent line. So going this way, my brush starts straight. While I'm pulling that line, I'm turning it slightly this way. So the tip of the brush stays on the practice panel, but you twist it slightly. You don't have to twist it like 180 degrees or anything. It's a small twist, you know, just enough to make that tight, sharp bend happen. Obviously, the sharper the bend, the more twist you need to do. But I want you to practice just that kind of, you know, 10 centimeter flare outs over here, one after another, until they look consistent enough and without any nasty surprises. So you go like that. Let me repalette the brush slightly here, and we do it again. So again, watch that turn of the brush in between my two fingers. When it goes from here to here, you're gonna end up like that. So you start relatively straight, put the tip down, and once you go in, you turn the brush all the way, so the lines look more or less the same. Yeah, and the same thing goes for the opposite direction. Obviously, you turn the brush the other way around. Let me get you down, maybe I can give you a better angle. Right, so here we are. Watch how this brush being turned this way, and the tip stays on the ground, and it kind of follows that curvature. So press down, and once I'm going down, I twist this brush, see? Stop and pull back. And again, reset to a natural position, put down, and once we're going down, slightly twisting this brush right now. Yeah. And again, down. And once you pull in, the brush being twisted in my hand, yet I turn it just slightly. Yeah, that's how it goes. And again, just like last week, just practice this, you know, do a 50 lines, do a 50 now, do 50 in the evening, until they look consistent enough. Don't worry about the distance between the lines at the moment. I just want the lines to look smooth without any flare outs or inconsistent thickness of the lines. Yeah. Okay, next one we want to cover is the S curve, which is combination of basically C curve, but it's like a shape of letter S. And again, to achieve that, you need to turn the brush in your fingers to get that nice curvature, and you need to do it left and right, so the twist needs to be a bit more profound, because you want to have a little sharper turns on this angle. Well, let's quickly have a look how it looks in action. So I'm gonna go shape of letter S right now. Yeah, so as you've probably seen, I twist the brush first this way, and then while I'm going along this belly, I twist it, turn it the other way, so the hair just follows the curve more naturally. Yeah, let's do this again. So you start on the top, straight, twist towards the right. Once you come go, you straight up again, and right over here you twist towards the left. And that gives you nice consistent line without any flare outs, any fat bits, any skinny bits, you know, it's more or less how it should be. Right, try to get you a better angle of this. Do my best to operate camera with one hand. Okay, so watch the brush, my fingers has been turned from side to side. So you press down, brush is rather straight. once I'm going around this first curve, I turn the brush, then I straighten it slightly, and I turn it the other way. Yeah, once again, down, turn, straighten up, and start turning the other way. There we go. Yeah, more or less like this. Obviously, the sharper the bend you want to do, the tighter the twist needs to be, and need to turn the brush slightly more. But we get there, you know, we get there with practice. Try to spread your lines across the whole practice panel, wipe in white spirit, and then do it again until you get that consistent results. The sharper the bend, more of a twist of the brush you need to get until you get to the full circle. Right, there is one little trick, one little bonus on the end of the video I wanted to show you. In the previous video, we did some straight lines. So basically, tip of the brush down, pull it, stop, and up. Right, straight lines, and we did 150, as many as you can. Now I'm going to show you a slight variation of that line. Palette the brush. Often you see a teardrop design. To build up the design we're going to cover in the next video. But the teardrop design, you can be done both ways. You can either paint it using two lines and then fill it in, or you can do it with one stroke. And little tip you need to know, the harder you press the brush, the thicker the line is going to be, in theory. So if I press down and press harder down, more of the hair is going to touch the surface, and once I'm pulling it out, I'm going to release that pressure slightly, yeah, all the way until it's really thin in the end. See? And let's do this again. Let me just repalette over here. It's difficult to do it with one hand again. Right, so again, you want to press down hard, put the tip of the brush, press down on it. You can see how it flares out on there. And once you pull in it, you raise in the brush slightly further and further away from the surface, just so the tip touches it. And you got really thin line on the bottom and a fat tip on top. Right, one of the techniques and to build up a design to help with your with the design looking a bit more professional. It's good to have line consistency like this. Probably 90% of the time you're going to be using these lines, but it's good to know this little trick, you know, whenever you need to. Sometimes when you start a design or start the line, you want to start with one center one like this, and then flare out to something thinner. But we covered that in the next, in the part 3, how to build a design and what we need to know about that as well. So just today, I want you to practice the C curve with turning the brush, the opposite C curve, the S curve, the opposite S curve, and if you fancy, a bit of a teardrop design. So you press down, press hard, and once you carry your line, you're getting further and further away from your surface. Press down hard, and when you pull out, you reduce the distance. So you know how to do it. Remember of this twisting, turning the brush in your hand like that. It's round for a reason, yeah. So if you hold it over here, you can turn it one way or the other. Once you're on that surface, that will help find its natural curve, and the hair will follow whichever direction you go in. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so that's it for today. It's much shorter video than last one, but on the last one we covered a lot of basics. There was a lot of talking. These lines, just practice this for the next few days, next week, and in the next video we cover a design, how to build a design, how to lay it down, how to make it relatively easy to enjoy. Hopefully that's going to be a bit more fun video than this one, because at the moment you just practice, get that consistency going. Hopefully next one we're going to enjoy it a bit more. I know he will, because he told me, but that's a different story. That's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate all your feedback, all your comments. Thank you very much for that. You got any questions, drop me a line. I'll be very happy to help. If you get a question to Giraffe as well, you can drop it on my email and I'll pass it on to him and we'll take it from there. Alright? Take it easy. Ride safe.